Hi guys, okay, we are doing June 2019 2HR, so just make sure guys you're looking at the code, make sure it matches up to the one you were doing. This is the formula sheet and we have question 1a. So write down the inequality shown on the number line, right? So we have, let's call it x because it is x, so x has to be greater than this number, because to the right of -3 means greater than. Because this is not colored in, it's not greater or equal to. If it was colored in like that, it would be greater or equal to. So that's it. 1 mark. Part B, solve the inequality, right? So guys, I'm going to solve this just like I'd solve an equation. 5y minus y less than or equal to 8 plus 13. So I subtract the y and I add the 13. 4y minus 3y. 4y minus y is 3y. 8 plus 13 is 21. Y is less than or equal to 7. Question 2. Show that this minus this equals this. Okay, so we will change the mixed numbers, guys, to improper fractions. 3 times 5 is 15, plus 2 is 17. 17 thirds minus 4 times 2 is 8. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 quarters. This minus this is the same as this minus this. Then we need a common denominator. We will choose twelfths. So many twelfths minus so many twelfths. 3 times 4 is 12. 17 times 4 is 68. Use your calculator, guys, if you don't know how to do that. And 4 times 3 is 12. 11 times 3 is 33. Then 68 minus 33 is 35 over 12. And 35 over 12, 12 goes into 35 twice, remainder 11, hence 2 and 11 twelfths, which is what we wanted. Question 2, done. Question 3, complete the table of values for this. You could sub in -1, 1, and 4, or you could use the calculator, which can nicely do it in the table. Click table, type in 1 plus 5x minus x squared. Press enter here for g of x, and the start is -1. The end is 6, because I'm going from -1 to 6. Step is 1, because we're just going up in ones, and I get this. So I have -1, -5. I have 0, 1. I have 1, 5. This is 5. Then I have 4, 7, and I have, no, that's not correct. Be careful, guys. -1, -5, 0, 1, 1, 5, 2, 7, 3, 7, 4, 5, 5, 1, and 6 minus 5. So this is 5, and this is -5. Okay, 2 nice easy marks. Then let's enter this into the graph, because we're going to draw the graph. So let me zoom out a bit. -1 minus 5, -1 minus 5. So exactly here. 0, 1 is 0, 1 there. 1, 5 is here. 1, 5. 2, 7 is there. 3, 7 is there. 4, 5 is here. 5, 1 is there. And 6, -5 is there. Okay, now I just have to join the dots nicely. Remember, don't go past this dot and this dot. And by the way, when I come up here, guys, I'm gonna have, you want to go a little bit above this. Don't draw a straight line here, because it's a nice quadratic. So As I always say, guys, do better than me, because I am not good at drawing these. Above this, like that, then through all the points. Okay, that will have to do. But again, guys, you can draw it better than me. That this looks a bit funny here over the side, so that maybe I would lose a mark. So just be careful. Okay, question 4. Okay, ABC and DEF, these two triangles are similar triangles. So they are to scale. So I need to find the scale factor. So the scale factor, I need to get two similar sides, this one and this one, I know, and I can just do 40 divided by 16, and that's the scale factor. 40 divided by 16, use your calculator, guys, it's 5 over 2 divided above and below by 8, which is actually 2.5. So if I want to find DE, which is this length here, all I need to do is multiply this side, because that's its corresponding side, multiply it by 2.5, and 12 times 2.5 is 30. Use your GDC, or sorry, your calculator if you need to. Okay, part B, it says the area of this triangle is 525. Find the area. Just be careful, guys. I was assuming they were going to just say find this area, but that's not what they're asking at all. They're saying find the area of this triangle in meters squared. So they're basically saying convert 525 centimeters squared to meters squared. Okay, by far, guys, the obvious common mistake people make is they just go 100 centimeters in a meter. So the answer has to be 5.25 meters squared. That is wrong. A meter squared, this is a square. 1 meter squared, 1 meter is 100 centimeters times 100 centimeters, which is 100 times 100, 10,000 centimeters squared. So 1 meter squared, 1 meter squared equals 10,000 centimeters squared. So if I want to find what is 525 centimeters squared, 525 centimeters squared, I have to divide by 10,000. So if I want to change this into meters squared, because there's 10,000 of these in 1 meter squared, so if I divide this by 10,000, 525 divided by 10,000 meters squared, and 525 divided by 10,000 is 1, 2, 3, 4. Use your calculator. 0.0525 meters squared. So just be super careful, guys. I bet you half the students in the world wrote 5.25 there. Okay, question 5. Factorize. Right, I have, again, guys, many different ways to do this. Get help from your calculator if you need it, but I'm just going to show you my way. I do factors of x squared, or x and x. Factors of 36. 12 and 3, no good. 18 and 2, no good. 9 and 4, very good, because 9 minus 9 plus 4 gives me minus 5, which I want. So the factors are x minus 9 times x plus 4. Okay. Question 6. There are some ice lollies in a freezer. The flavor of each ice lolly is banana, strawberry, mint, or chocolate. Julius takes a random ice lolly. The table shows the probabilities. Work out the probability that the flavor of the ice lolly that Julius takes is either strawberry or mint. Okay, so I just need to find the probability it's mint, guys. So first, so I'll do, to find the probability it's mint, I need to do 1 minus all of these, because the total probability must be 1. So I'll do 1 minus 0.35 minus 0.32 minus 0.12, which gives me 1 minus 0.35 minus 0.32 minus 0.12, 21 over 100, or 0.21, 0.21. So the probability of strawberry or mint is equal to this plus this. So it's just 0.32 plus 0.21, that's 0.21, which is 0.53. Question 7. A football team played 55 games. Each game was won, drawn, or lost. Work out, number of games won to number of games drawn to number of games lost is 6 to 3 to 2. Work out how many more games the team won than the team lost. Right, so guys, it's 55. We're going to divide 55 in the ratio 6 to 3 to 2. How do we do that? First step, add the ratios. 6 plus 3 plus 2 is 11. So now we're going to break 55 into 11ths, or 11 parts. So I do 55 divided by 11 and I get 5. So that means they won 6 times 5, which is 30. So they won 30 games. I'll do the draw, even though I don't need it. They drew 5 times 3 equals 15 games, and they lost 2 times 5, which is 10 games. Question says, how many more games did they win than lose? So they won 30, they lost 10. This is win, lose. Sorry, win, draw, lose. They won 30, they lost 10, which means they won 20 more games than they lost, if that makes sense. 20. Okay, question 8. Find the highest common factor of A and B. So they give us the prime factors. Definitely, guys, what you want to do is draw a Venn diagram. So, okay, that's not too bad. That'll have to do. Right, this is A, this is A, and this is B. So we need the common ones. So what's common? We have 3 squared. So I'm going to put 3 squared in the middle. 5 to the 4 and 5 cubed. That means I can put 5 cubed in the middle, because there's a 5 cubed here and a 5 cubed here. There's an extra 5. Yes, I'll put it here. And there's a 7 that I can put in the middle. Okay, so these are in the middle. That means for A, I have my 3 squared, I have my 7, but I need another 5. Hence, I write another 5 here. For B, I need another 3 squared. That gives me my 3 to the 4. I have my 5 cubed there, that's fine. I have my 7 there, that's fine, but I need an 11. So the highest common factor, the way we get our highest common factor, guys, is we just multiply this times this times this. So it's 3 squared times 5 cubed times 7, which equals, let's use our calculator, 3 squared times 5 cubed times 7, 7,875. 7,875. Find the lowest common multiple of A and B. Okay, easy, guys. I just multiply them all together. Lowest common multiple is 5 times 3 squared times 5 cubed times 7 times 3 squared times 11. Or I can just use this, and I'm going to multiply by what's left. So there was the 5, there was a 3 squared, and there was an 11. 3898125. 3898125. There we go. Highest common factor, the middle ones, lowest common multiple, all the other ones. Question 9. Write this in standard form, right? So it's 8.4, because this number has to be between 1 and 10. And then I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to multiply by 10 to the 5. Next question, this one. So guys, these calculators help us a lot here. I can just do 6 times 10 to the 7, close brackets, divided by 8 times 10 to the power, 10 to the power of -2, close bracket, and I get this 750. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7, 5, and 7 zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, then I need to put this in standard form. So this is 7.5 times 10 to the power of, go to here and I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's 10 to the power of 8. Question 10. Henry buys a yacht for 150,000 euros. The yacht depreciates in value, which means it goes down in value by 18% each year. Work out the value of the yacht at the end of 3 years. Give the answer to the nearest euro. Okay, so guys, if it depreciates by 18%, it's going down in value, which means it will be worth 100 minus 18, which is 82%. At the end of, 82% at the end of the first year, 82% of its value. So to find how much the yacht is worth after 1 year, I multiply it by 0.82 or 82%. But that's after 1 year. I am interested in after 3 years. So to get its value after 3 years, I'm going to multiply by 0.82 again and 0.82 again, or in total 0.82 to the power of 3. When I do that, I get 150,000 times 0.82 to the power of 3. Press this button. Nearest euro, guys. I need 82705. 82705. It's 0.2 here, and then to the nearest euro, I'll put here 82705. Okay, question 11. Here is a line. It is a line L drawn on the grid, and it says find the equation of L. So the equation of a line, guys, we know is y equals mx plus c, because I can find the gradient and y-intercept here. I don't need to use the formula or anything like that, or the other formula. So I can just find the gradient. The gradient is, I go down 2 for every 1 across. So the gradient is -2/1, if you like, or -2. It is rise over run, and it's negative. And then the y-intercept is here, so c is equal to -1. So I can literally just write down y equals -2x minus 1, mx plus c, which is -1. Okay. Question 12. Okay, it says calculate the length of AB, which is this line here. show clearly you're working. 3 significant figures. Okay, so guys, I have a right angle triangle here, and I have a right angle triangle here, and I have this is 42 degrees. The problem I have is I don't know any side in this triangle. If I did, I could find AB using SOHCAHTOA. So what I'm thinking is, let's just find this side using this triangle. Let's call it X. And once I have this side, then I can easily find this side. Let's call it Y. So first we're going to find X. So I'm going to use this triangle. I have the opposite and the hypotenuse. So that is going to be sine. So the sine of 32 degrees is equal to opposite over hypotenuse, 3.1. Multiply across, X equals 3.1 times sine 32. X equals, calculator, 3.1 times the sine of 32 degrees, which is 1.6427. 1.6427. Okay, now I'm going to use this to get my y. So I can say the cosine, because I have the adjacent and I want the hypotenuse. So the cosine of 42 degrees is equal to adjacent, which is, well, I'll write x over y. And I know x, cos 42 degrees, is 1.6427 over y. I'll multiply across by this y, so I get y cos 42 degrees equals 1.6427, and then finally y is equal to 1.6427 divided by cos 42. This I can do on my calculator. 1.6427 over cos 42 equals 2.21047. 2.21047. He says 3 significant figures. 3 significant figures is 2.21. So I'll write here 2.21. Question 13. Okay, so Sandeep has recorded length of time it takes for adults to walk, 100 adults to walk one Saturday afternoon. This is a cumulative frequency table. On the grid, draw the cumulative frequency graph. This, guys, is a nice question. So the first point is going to be at 46. So I'm going to put a point at 46 here. The next point is at 50, 20. So I need to go to 50, 20. Next point is at 60, 56. So that's 56. So guys, these are going up in twos, like 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. So the little boxes are 2. 70, 84 would be here. 80, 95. So this is 90, 94, 96, 95 would be there in the middle. And then finally 90 is 100. Now we have to start from 0, 0, guys, because he starts at 30 here, or sorry, 30, 0, I should say. So we're going to start at 30 and we're going to draw our graph along. Now guys, as I always say, do it better than me. Although that's pretty good, to be fair. Okay, so that's my graph. Now the reason you have to draw it accurately is because this question says use your graph to find an estimate for the median length of time. So the median length of time, I need to go to, if there's 100 people, I need to go to the 50th person, draw a line across, draw a line down, and I get, these are going in ones, guys, so this is actually 59. So the median length of time is 59. One of the 100 adults is chosen at random. Use a graph to find an estimate for the probability that this adult went for a walk for more than 72 minutes, right? More than 72 minutes. Go to 72 minutes. Where is it? It's here. Draw a line straight up. Draw a line across. Now, how many students, well, what is this? This is 82, 84. This is 86. So how many adults, went for a walk for more than 72 minutes? Well, it's not 86, it's 14, because I have to find out how many are between 100 and 86. So I'm going to do 100 minus 86. 100 minus 86 is 14. So the probability out of 100 is just going to be the probability, let's just say more than 70, more than 72 equals 14 out of 100. You can simplify it if you want, but you don't have to. So it's just 14 over 100. Okay, question 14. Simplify fully this to the power of this, right? So guys, you have to do them separately. You have to do x to the 12 all to the power of 3/4. Now a power raised to another power, I just multiply 12 times 3/4 and it's 9. So that's x to the power of 9. And then I can do y to the 8 to the power of 3/4. Y to the 8 to the power of 3/4, again multiply and you get 6. So it's just, this is quite a nice easy question, x to the 9 times y to the 6. Part B. Given 3 to the 9 equals this, find an expression for n in terms of x and y. Okay, so this is 3 to the power of n, this is 3 to the power of x, and this is 9 to the power of y. So I have to change the 9 into 3 to the power of something, so I can get it in the form, because I need it, to find n, I need it to be 3 to the power of something. So what I'm going to say is 3 to the power of n is equal to 3 to the power of x over, now I'm just going to do one little thing, guys. I'm going to change 9 into 3 squared. We know 3 squared equals 9. So I haven't done anything except turn 9 into 3 squared. So this is 9, and it's 9 to the power of y. So that everyone should be fine with that. I haven't done anything crazy, just turn 9 into 3 squared. Then 3 to the x, that stays the same. Using the third rule of indices, I can multiply the powers. A power to another power as we multiply the powers. So this is just 3 to the power of 2y. And then finally, when I'm dividing with the same base, which it is the same base, it's 3, I just subtract the powers. That's the second rule of indices. So it's x minus 2y, and this is 3 to the power of n. So the n, guys, you might think it's confusing or something, but it's just saying, what is this? It's like simplify this, and it's 3 to the power of x minus 2y. So n is x minus 2y, because if 3 to the power of this equals 3 to the power of that, then this must equal that. So it's x minus 2y. Okay, next one. Question 15. A, B, C, D are points on a circle. AOC is a diameter of the circle. AOD is 98 degrees. Work out the size of angle DBC. DBC. So we're trying to find this angle here. Give a reason for each stage of your working. Okay, so guys, straight away, when I see this and this, I think, right, this angle here has to be half of this. It is 49 plus 49 is 98. Okay, so we have to explain why. So angle ABD equals 49 degrees. Because we have to say why, guys. So I have to say because angle at center is double angle at circumference. So that is a circle property that you need to know. So when you have this angle here, that angle is always double this angle there. 98, 49, double. Now I'm actually finished, guys, because I know that this angle here is 90 degrees because it's an angle, or sorry, it is a triangle in a semicircle. So this is actually 41 degrees. So I'm just going to go straight to that. I'm going to say, well, no, first I'm going to say angle ABC is equal to 90 degrees. And then I'm just going to put because angle in semicircle. As long as you say semicircle, you're fine. And then I'm going to say angle DBC. DBC equals 41 degrees. And then I can just say because or as 41 plus 49 equals 90. So that's the answer, 41 degrees. Okay, question 16. The following table gives x and y where y is inversely proportional to the square of x. Find a formula for y in terms of x. Okay, so guys, these are familiar questions. The inversely proportional one, it says y is inversely proportional to the square of x. So I say y equals k over x squared. That's what I do for inversely proportional. So the x squared goes underneath the line, and I put the k because it's proportional, and I need to find the value of k. So this is familiar. Hopefully you've seen that before and you know what to do. However, what's not familiar is the fact that they've given us a table of values. So usually they just give you one value to say when x is 3, y is 4. But here they've given us lots. So it's actually, as far as I can see, just to try and confuse you. We have, let's use these two. We have x is 3 when y is 4. So I'm going to write that down. X equals 3 when y equals 4. Why did I choose 3 and 4? Only because they're the easiest numbers. I could have chosen 2 and 9. I could have chosen any of them, but the 3 and 4 seem like nice small numbers, so I've chosen them. You would get the exact same answer if you chose any pair, but we need at least one pair. So I'm going to sub in 4 for y. 4 equals, I'm going to sub in 3 for x, k over 3 squared. That means 4 equals k over 9, because 3 squared is 9. And finally, k equals 36. Once I have k, I have my formula. The formula is y equals k over x squared, but I have k is 36 over x squared. Done. Given that x is greater than 0, find the value of x when y is 144. Okay, so I'm just going to use the formula that I have, guys. Y equals 36 over x squared. I'm going to sub in 144 for y. 144 equals 36 over x squared, and now I'm just going to try and find x squared. Multiply across, 144 x squared equals 36. X squared equals 36 divided by 144, and then x is the square root of 36 over 144. Use your calculator, guys, but I actually know the answer. It's going to be 6, because the square root of 36 is 6, over 12, because the square root of 144 is 12, and 6 over 12, guys, simplified is 1 over 2, or 0.5. Okay, not too bad a question, I think, guys. I think everybody can do that. Okay, question 17. The table gives information about the first 6 numbers of a sequence of numbers. Term 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Prove algebraically that the sum of any 2 consecutive terms of this sequence is always a square number. Okay. This, I would say, is not that familiar a question, because we need to kind of come up with the terms in terms of n. Okay, so if the first term is 1 and the second term is 2, sorry, if the first term is 1 times 2 over 2 and the second term is 2 times 3 over 2 and the third term is 3 times 4 over 2 and the sixth term is 6 times 7 over 2, what is the nth term? So I have to get the nth term. The nth term is n times n plus 1 over 2. Because think about it, look, 6 is 6 times 7 over 2. It's the same number times 1 plus 1. The nth term is n, that's like my 6 times 7, or 6 plus 1, or n plus 1. So the nth term is n times n plus 1 over 2. Now we need to prove that the sum of any 2 consecutive terms, so a consecutive term, or 2 consecutive terms, is I need to find, that's the nth term, I need to find the n plus 1th term, the next one. So the n plus 1th term is, again, we're going to multiply by n plus 1, n plus 1, and then we're going to add 1 to this, which is n plus 2 over 2. Okay, let me try and explain that again. So each term we multiply that, whatever the term number is, we multiply by that times the next one and divide by 2. For example, the 1000th term. The 1000th term would be 1000 times 1001 over 2. Which means the nth term would be n times n plus 1 over 2. And the n plus 1th term would be n plus 1 times n plus 2 over 2. Okay, that's it. Now once you understand what we've done there, that's certainly worth a mark. How many marks is this question worth? 4 in total. This is worth 1 mark. Then we need to do the sum of these. So we need to add these two together. So n times n plus 1 over 2 plus n plus 1 times n plus 2 over 2 equals n squared plus n over 2. So that's me multiplying this out, plus, and now we need to multiply this out. So we're going to have to do this n times 2, 1 times n, 1 times 2. N times n is n squared. N times 2 is 2n. And 1 times n is plus 1n. And 1 times 2 is plus 2. This divided by 2. This equals Now I have the same denominator, guys. I can just combine them or add them together. So I have n squared plus n squared is 2n squared. N plus 2n plus n is 4n. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. And then 2 is just 2. Like this. So, and guys, let me just do this. Okay, nearly there. What can I do? I can divide above and below by 2 to simplify this. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. This becomes n squared plus 2n plus 1. Okay, nice. This is nice because I now know if I factorize this, I get the factors of n are n and n. The factors of 1 are 1 and 1, and it has to be plus, and it has to be plus. Now, if you don't believe me, multiply this out, you get n squared plus n plus 1, which is this, which equals n plus 1 squared. Now remember, guys, because this times this is n plus 1 squared. Remember, we were asked to prove that the sum of any two consecutive numbers is always a square number, and that is what we've done. Hence, it's always a square number. I'm going to write, therefore, always a square number. And yes, put in like a final statement at the end. Always a square number. Okay, question 18. Functions f and g are defined as this. State which value of x must be excluded from any domain of the function f, right? So this is a familiar question because I've seen this before. Which is the value of x that must be excluded? It's the value of x that breaks, what I like to say, it breaks this machine. What number, if I put in here for x, would break the machine? Well, it's the number that gives me 4x minus 3 equals 0. Because remember, we cannot divide by 0. So what number can I, if I put in there, I'll get 0. Well, I'm just going to make the denominator equal 0 and solve for x. So 4x equals 3, add the 3, and then divide by 4. So the answer is 3 over 4. Because if I put 3 over 4 in there, what happens is, and you can do it with your calculator, guys, if you do 3 over 4 divided by 3 over 4 minus 4 times 3 over 4 minus 3, your calculator will just give you an error because you end up dividing by 0. So that's the answer. Find f of g of x. Okay, f of g of x means we're going to put g of x into f. So f g of x is equal to, instead of x, I'm going to put x minus 5. So here, let me use a color. Instead of x, I'm going to put x minus 5, and instead of this x, I'm going to put x minus 5. Okay, this x is in the numerator, so I'm going to put x minus 5. Instead of this x here, I'm going to put x minus 5, but there's a 4 there, so it's 4x minus 5 minus 3. He wants me to simplify this, so let's expand. This gives me x minus 5 at the top, 4x minus 20, 4x minus 20 minus 3, which is equal to x minus 5 over 4x minus 23. And that's it. That is the answer. X minus 5 over 4x minus 23. Express the inverse f minus 1 in the form as f minus 1 of x, right? So I have x, f of x equals x over 4x minus 3. F of x equals x over 4x minus 3. Okay, I'm going to let, this is how we find the inverse function, guys. We let y equal x over 4x minus 3. Then we swap x and y. Why do we do that? Because we're trying to find the inverse function. The inverse function, we swap x and y. So I now have x equals y over 4 times y minus 3. Note the x's have turned into y's. Then I solve for y and make y the subject. So I'm going to multiply across by y. So that's 4y minus 3 times x equals y. Then I multiply out because I need to get the y's on their own. So I'm going to get 4yx minus 3x equals y. That's multiplying out the bracket. I'm going to get any term with y in it on the left. So this term is here, and I'm going to subtract this y. And any term without a y in it on the right, 3x. Okay, then this is the tricky bit. Let me just write that line again, guys. 4yx minus y equals 3x. This is the tricky bit. To get y on its own here, I have to factorize it. So I take out the y. Take out the y, and I'm left with 4x minus 1 equals 3x. Y is equal to 3x over 4x minus 1. So here I'm going to write f minus 1 of x equals 3x over 4x minus 1. Okay. Oh, sorry. I assumed I was finished, but I'm not. Part of the curve with y equals h of x is shown. Is h of x given? No, it isn't. Right. So this is kind of like a new question. So part of the curve with y equals h of x is shown. Find an estimate for the gradient of the curve at the point where x equals negative 0.5. Show you're working clearly. Okay, so I need to go to where x is negative 0.5 here. This is negative 0.5. And then I'm going to draw a line up to the curve. I need to find the curve. And then I need to draw a tangent to the curve at that point. Now the way I do that is I get my ruler. Now guys, I don't actually have a ruler, but you need to get a ruler and put it here, and you need to draw along the line. Okay, I need to draw this a bit higher up. Okay, I need to draw along this line so that it's a tangent to the curve. Okay, and then I need to actually continue on like this. So guys, you need to put a ruler. Okay, that's not too bad. But so a tangent, guys, hopefully you know what a tangent is. A tangent okay, that's as good as it gets. A tangent is a line that touches the curve just at one point here. So you get your ruler, put it there, make sure it's a tangent, and you draw it. And then we need to calculate the gradient of this line. Now, how do I find the gradient of a line? Well, I could get 2 points. Why don't we do that? I'll get 2 points. So the first point is this one. Let's just pick this point. This point is minus 0.5, 14. So this is minus 0.5, 14. And the second point, I can choose any point that I have. Why not just go with 1, guys? So this is 1, 122. This point is 122. Okay, now actually, now that I think about it, instead of choosing negative 0.5, let's choose a whole number. And in fact, I could choose 0. So this point is, actually 0 doesn't work perfectly. Let's choose negative 2 actually, guys, because negative 2 fits nicely on a point. It's negative 2, 6. So that's negative 2, 6. Now, bear in mind, you could use this. You could use this. The only reason I didn't choose 0 is because it's kind of halfway between 16 and 17. So I'd have to use 16.5, which is annoying. So I'm going to use this point and this point. Now the gradient, let's actually just remove this so we're all clear on what's happening. And this is my, let's do x1, y1 and x2, y2. And my gradient formula, m, is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Change in y over change in x. So I just sub in my y2, 22. Sub in my y1, 6. So it's y minus 6. Sub in my x2, 1. And then sub in my x2, or sorry, my x1, which is negative 2. Be very careful, guys. It's negative, it's minus negative 2. 22 minus 6 is 16. 1 minus minus 2 is 3. And 16 divided by 3 is 5 1/3 if you want, or 5.333 or 33 whatever, or actually just leave it as 16/3, and that's fine because the mark scheme accepts anything between 5 and 7, so that's fine, that's acceptable. I would actually prefer, guys, just 16/3 like that, because that is approximately equal to that. Okay, hope that makes sense, guys. Again, you will have a different line to me, you may have different points to me, but the concept is the same. Okay, question 19. Okay, the diagram shows a sector OAPB of a circle center O. AB is a chord of the circle, that's this. This is 80 degrees. It says the area of the sector. Now, guys, the sector is the full thing. It's like the slice of pizza. That's the sector. And then it says work out the perimeter. I should maybe underline some of these things. So they want the perimeter of the shaded segment, which is this. And give your answer to 3 significant figures. Okay, so the perimeter, guys, is this arc, if you like. That's nice. Plus this length here. So that's the perimeter. The perimeter is the length of the outside of the shape. So we're looking for the length of the outside of the shaded shape, which happens to be a segment. Okay, so to get that, I need to get the length of this arc, which is, let's call it L. It's the arc length, and I have a formula for that. And I need to get this length, let's call it X. I'll use the cosine rule because I will know the radius. The radius is this and this. And if I know these two, I will be able to find X. Now, I don't know the radius yet, but I have this bit of information here, that the area of the sector is equal to 24 pi or 25 pi over 2. Okay, so to get the radius, I'm going to do this. I'll do it up here, guys, just so I have space, but obviously you do it down here. So I'm going to say I am going to do it here. So the area of a sector is equal to pi r squared, which is the area of a circle, times the angle, let's call it theta over 360. This is the formula for the area of a sector. Learn it. It comes from area of a circle, and what fraction of the circle we are going to get is decided by the angle. Now, this is well, pi, or I don't know, so let's leave it as r squared. And the angle I do know, it's 80 over 360. And the area I do know, it's 25 over 2 pi. So now I just need to solve this for or. First thing I can do is divide both sides by pi, so the pi's cancel. And then I'm going to multiply by 360 and divide by 80. Now I'm going to just swap the or to this side, guys. So it's going to be 25 times 360. 25 times 360 over 2 times 80. Now hopefully that all makes sense. And then the radius is just the square root of this. So I'm going to skip straight to that step. It's the square root of 25 times 360 over 2 times 80. And that gives me 15 over 2, or 7.5. Okay, let's just leave it as 7.5. Now I have the radius. It is 7.5. And obviously this is 7.5 too. Okay, now I have the radius. I can work out both of these things, my arc length and my x. Let's do the length first. The length. The formula for arc length is similar to this, guys, except this time I'm going to use the circumference, which is 2 pi r, the circumference of a circle, times theta over 360. It's the fraction of the circumference. 2 pi, now I know, or the radius, it's 7.5, and I know the angle, it's 80 over 360. It's this 80 here. And this I can put straight into my calculator. 2 times pi, pi is here, 2 times pi, times 7.5, times, right there, times 80 over 360 gives me 10 over 3 pi, or 10.472. Let's go with that. 10.472. That's L. Then I need x. How do I find x? I'm going to use the cosine rule. So cosine rule tells me that x squared equals, so this squared equals this squared plus this squared, which is 7.5 squared plus 7.5 squared, minus 2 times this, which is actually 7.5 squared. Well, let's just write it in properly, times 7.5, times, let me just move over here a bit. And guys, I'll just draw a straight line down here. Times cosine 80. So x squared equals, let's do this in 2 steps, 7.5 squared plus 7.5 squared minus 2 times 7.5 times 7.5 times cos of 80, which is 92.9646. 92.9646. Note I rounded to a lot more than 3 significant figures. Then I can get x is the square root of this, so I'll just do square root answer. Give me 9.6418. 9.6148, and that means the perimeter is just going to be this plus this, the length plus this green line. So the perimeter P is equal to 9.6418 9.6148 plus 10.472, which equals plus 10.472, 20.11, and he wants it to 3 significant figures, so I'll just go with 20.1. I'll write here 3 significant figures, and here I'll write 20.1. Okay, that's question 19. Question 20. A is this, B is this, correct? So A is correct to 3 significant figures, and B is correct to 1 decimal place. It says work out the upper bound for X, give your answer as a decimal correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, so this is how I do these questions, guys. I want X to be big. So we make X big. We need to make A big, and B small. Okay, why do I have to do that? Well, think about it. It's a fraction, so what I want is to find the upper bound, I want the numerator to be big. To make X big, I want the numerator to be big and the denominator to be small. So that way, if I make if the numerator is big and the denominator is small, then the whole number, which is X, will be big, and that's essentially it. So how do I do it? Well, I'm going to get a number line for A, and I go 3.46 is here, 3.46 to 3 significant figures. So the next number up, if I'm rounding to 3 significant figures, is 3.47, and the next number down would be 3.45. This is A. Now to make A big, well, I'm just going to get let's do both upper and lower bounds. So the upper bound is 3.465, and the lower bound, which is the middle of these two guys, that's how I'm doing it, is 3.455. Okay, that's A. Then B, I am going to do something similar. This is B, and B is 6.3, so I'll put 6.3 here to 1 decimal place. The next number up is 6.4, and down is 6.2, because we're going to 1 decimal place, so we're just going up we're just going up by 1 decimal place. And this guy's upper bound would be 6.35, and his lower bound would be 6.25. So to make X big, we make A big. So I'm going to say therefore X is equal to, our upper bound for X is equal to the upper bound for A, which is okay, but there's a 6, just be careful. It's 6 times this, the upper bound, 6.465, divided by B is small, so B is 6.25, minus A is big, 3.465, and this equals, calculator please, 6 times 3.465 over 6.25 minus 3.465, and we get this, which is 7.46499, 7.46499, and he wants it to three significant figures, so it's 7.46. 7.46, and that's correct. Okay, that's question 20. Question 21. Two similar bottles, so this is a similar shape question. Bottle A is surface area of this, bottle B is surface area of this, and volume of this. Work out the volume of A. Okay, I like this question, guys, because it's very familiar to me. I always write down the first thing I write down is the scale factor, area factor, and volume factor. Now, the area, hang on, I'm just gonna give these a bit more space. I don't know the scale factor, and I don't actually have a nice way of finding it yet. I don't have the volume factor. The only thing I can calculate is the area factor, because I have the surface area of B and the surface area of A. So the area factor is the area of A divided by the area of B, 540 over 240. Let's just do that. 540 divided by 240, 9 over 4. So this is 9 over 4, or 2.25. 2.25. I can't then go from area factor to volume factor. I have to go to scale factor. So the scale factor is the square root of 2.25. Now, those of you who are super smart may note that this is the square root of 9 over 4, which is 3 over 2, or 1.5. But feel absolutely free to just get the square root of 2.25, and there you go. It's 1.5. Then, once you have the scale factor, you can get the volume factor. It's 1.5 cubed. So remember, scale factor squared is the area factor, and the scale factor cubed is the volume factor. So what's 1.5 cubed? Well, it's 27 over 8, or 3.375. So that's 3.375. Now, he tells us the volume of B. So to get the volume of bottle A, I need to divide by this, because the bottle A is the smaller volume. So volume A is equal to 2025 divided by 3.375, and that gives me 2025 divided by 3.375, 600 exactly. Perfect. So this is 600 there, and we're done. Question 22. Okay, I'm going to show you the kind of correct way to do this first, guys, and then I'm going to show you kind of the hack on the calculator, because these questions are always really challenging. Students don't like them. These are completing the square. Yeah, it's a difficult question. So this is what we do. First thing is I'm going to write this as minus 2x squared plus 12x plus 5. Why? Because that's what I'm used to. I'm used to this ax squared plus bx plus c, the x squared term first. I can rewrite it in this form after. Okay, then just with the two x terms, I need to take out this negative 2, because I want an x squared here. Now, if I take out a negative 2, I need to divide this by negative 2, which is minus 6x. Now, just make sure that this works out. Minus 2 times x squared is minus 2x squared. Minus 2 times minus 6x is plus 12x. So this is this. But obviously I have a plus 5 at the end, so I need to just put the plus 5. Leave that plus 5 where it is. That's absolutely fine. Okay. Then I do this completing the square trick where I leave the minus 2 here. This x squared minus 6x I turn into x minus 3. So I half the 6, or the minus 6, and I get minus 3, and I square it. Now what this does is, well, that gives me, if I just do x minus 3 squared, I get x squared minus 6x plus 9, which is my x squared minus 6x. But I have a plus 9 here that I've just kind of created out of thin air. So I need to remove that plus 9 by doing minus 9. Close the bracket, that's this thing, and then just add a 5. So essentially, I'll get rid of this. Essentially, what I have done is I've just turned this into this. This is the exact same thing as this. The minus 2 is also the same, and the plus 5 is the same. Okay, now I'm going to expand this out. So I get minus 2 times x minus 3 squared. Minus 2 times minus 9 is plus 18, and the plus 5 is still there, which gives me 18 plus 5 is 23, so minus 2 times x minus 3 squared plus 23. And that I can write as 23 minus 2 times x minus 3 squared. And that's it. That is the answer. Now I did promise you a kind of calculator hack way to do this. So let me show you. If you go to the equation function and you go to polynomial and you do degree 2 and you type in this equation as you see it, so well, as I've rearranged it, so the minus 2 first, press enter, the 12, press enter, and the 5, press enter, and then I press enter. This is the solution, which is not useful to me. This is the other solution, which is not useful. Now this is what's useful. The max is at x equals 3. So this is my kind of, let's just do method, or calculator method, I'll call it. Calculator method. Okay, my max is equal to, or my max at x equals 3. Go back here, and I'm going to press equals again, and my max is at y equals 23. Max at x equals 3 and y equals 23. Now once you have that, and if it was a positive quadratic, guys, that would just say min at y equals 23 or at x equals 3. So don't worry if that says max or min, it's the same thing. So all we do, once we have this, is we say this thing, this minus 2x squared plus 12x plus 5 equals when it's in this form, the minus 2, whatever's the coefficient of x squared always goes outside the bracket. So if that was 10, I'd write 10 here. If that was 20, I'd write 20. If it's minus 2, I write minus 2. Then I open my bracket, and I always do x minus this number here. X minus the 3. If that was negative 3, you put x plus 3. So it's always x minus whatever you have here. If that was 20, you put x minus 20. If that was negative 100, you put x plus 100. And then you just put plus 23. And you sub in your 23. There you go. And that actually is the answer. Obviously, you just change it to 23 plus this. But that's it. A far easier way to do it. So I would recommend doing it this way if you can, but if you absolutely can't do this, just write this down. Will they give you the full 4 marks for it? Debatable. I would actually guess probably yes, but so definitely better off to put it down than nothing. But if you're able to do this, obviously do that as well. Okay, that's question 22. Question 23. Okay, the diagram, we have a pyramid. It's a square base of 10 centimeters. So this is 10 centimeters, guys, but this is also 10. and this is 10, and this is 10. These lengths are the same, A, B, C, D, sorry, A, B, and A, C, and AD. And the total, in bold guys, the total surface area is 360 centimeters squared. Work out the size of the base, the size of the angle between AC and the base, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is just show you what they're looking for. Obviously, guys, this isn't an easy question. It's question number 23. It's 3D trigonometry. It's not easy, but it's not like one of those impossible questions. So what he's looking for is this angle here. This is the angle he wants. Now note, this is actually a right angle triangle because we're in 3D, even though obviously that doesn't look like a right angle triangle. It is a right angle triangle. So I could even draw this, you could draw this pink triangle over here, just so it's kind of clear on what you're trying to find. And this is a right angle, and that is A, that is O, and that is C, and that's the angle that we're trying to find. Okay, now we can't find that angle yet because I don't know the lengths of any sides. I can actually work out this length just from using this, the fact that this is a square and this is 10, and I'll do that maybe in a while, but first I want to use this 360 centimeters squared. Now guys, they've given us lots of space, 2 pages in fact, to do this. I'm going to try and squeeze it in here just so we can see what we're doing, but I don't want you to do that. I want you to use the space. Okay, so well, let's leave that there for now. So we're going to use this 360 centimeters squared. Now that is the total surface area. So the total surface area, let's call it the TSA, total surface area, is equal to the area of a square. So it's the square plus 4 triangles. Now you can write that, guys. That shows that you're thinking about what's happening. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to get the area of the square, 10 times 10, which is 100. Plus 4 times the area of these triangles. Now these triangles, guys, are not, they are not right angle triangles. So I'm just going to draw, okay, different color. This is a triangle, and I'm going to draw this triangle here. So we're kind of clear. Now what it is actually an isosceles triangle. This is an isosceles triangle because these lengths, AC and AD, are the same. It told us that at the start. So that's A, that's C, and that's D. To get the area of a triangle, now we know, guys, that the length of this base is 10 because that's 10 there because it's a square. So this is 10. So to get the area of a triangle, we do a half base times height. Now what's the height? Well, it's this height here. It's the height of this triangle. So let's call it, I'm actually not going to call it H for height, guys, because that might confuse people with this height. That's the height of the pyramid. Let's just call it X. Okay, so that is X, and it's this length here in 3D. Okay, so this is X, so it's 4 times, my formula here is 100, that's the square, plus 4 times the area of a triangle. Now the area of a triangle is a half times base, which is 10, times height, which is X. So let's actually just call it 10x. Now just be very careful with the multiplication signs. And this is equal to 100, sorry, it's plus, that's a big mistake, plus 4 times that. So 100 plus 4 times this, so that would be 100 plus, a half of 10 is 5, 5 times 4 is 20, so it's 20x. But it tells us, the question tells us, that the total surface area equals 360. So I'm actually going to equate this to 360. So I'm going to say this equals 360. And then I'm going to solve for x. So minus 100 gives me 260, which means x has to equal 260 divided by 20, which is 13. Okay, so this x is 13. So I'm going to put that here. This is 13. Now, also interestingly, guys, this length here is 5, just from here to here, because it's half of 10. Okay, and so my goal, guys, is to find, if I could find this length here, that's this length. What my goal is to find two lengths in this pink triangle. So one of them I'm going to find using this triangle here. The fact that this is 5, this is a right angle, guys. So let's actually, I'm going to draw another triangle. Now I know I'm changing colors, but I'm changing them on purpose so you can see what's going on. So this triangle is now this is now another right angle triangle. This is a right angle because, again, we're in 3D, so it's coming straight down. Look, it's this triangle. That is a right angle there, and I'm drawing this triangle. So this is a right angle. This height here is x, so this is 13 there. This is 5, which means this angle here, or sorry, this side, which is ultimately AC, is going to be where we're going to use Pythagoras. Now I'm going to call this y because I've already used x. So using Pythagoras, y squared equals 5 squared plus 13 squared. Y squared equals 25 plus 169. So let's just do 5 squared plus 13 squared is 194. So that's 194. And then x is the square root of 194. Square root of 194, which is 13.928. 13.928. And I might actually add in one more, 9284. 9284. Okay, so now I have this length. This is 13.928. Great, I have this length. Now I could get, well, there's a few different things I could do, guys. I am going to get, I think, this length, or I could get this length here using this triangle. I can't actually decide which one is easier to do. Let's just go with this bottom triangle. So imagine I have this triangle here. This is actually also a right angle triangle because this is a right angle here. That's a right angle because it's a square at the bottom. So, right, guys, I'm going to have to move down. I'm going to have to move down here a bit. Let me think. Okay, let's just zoom out because I need that. I need that diagram. Right, so let's have a look at this right angled triangle. So this is an isosceles triangle because this is 10. So this is 10 and this is 10. This is B, C, E, and this is a right angle triangle. Now I'm trying to get this side here, EC. Let's just call it EC, guys, for EC squared, just so we're clear what we're doing. EC squared is 10 squared plus 10 squared. This is Pythagoras' theorem. 10 squared plus 10 squared is 100 plus 100, which is 200. So EC is the square root of 200, which is, the square root of 200 is 10 root 2. That's because it's the square root of 100 times the square root of 2, or just use your calculator, guys. The square root of 200 is 10 root 2. Now, that's EC. So this length from here to here is 10 root 2, but I only want EO. So or EO or OC, sorry, I want, which is the same. OC is then the half of this. OC is equal to 5 root 2, because it's half. Look at this. This length here is half of this length here. So half of 10 is 5. So now I can put 5 root 2 here. And I now come back to my original pink triangle. This one. I have the adjacent, I have the hypotenuse. I can find the angle using SOHCAHTOA. So I'm just going to put a straight line here. I'm going to say adjacent and hypotenuse, so it's cosine. So I'm going to say cosine of the angle, let's call it theta. So this angle here is theta. And the cosine of theta is adjacent, which is 5 root 2, over hypotenuse, which is 13.9284. Forgot to put the 4. And then theta is the inverse cos of that. Now, please let this be the right answer. This is a complicated question. So, inverse cos of 5 root 2 over 13.9284, close bracket, and I get 59.491, which is the right answer, thankfully. 59.491, but she says 3 significant figures, so I'll give it as 59.5. So this is down here, 59.5. So obviously, guys, that was not an easy question. There was lots of different things that they needed you to figure out. But hopefully it made some bit of sense. Okay, that's question 23. Question 24. A box contains marbles. So even before I've read the question, I'm thinking tree diagram, but let's continue. 4 of the marbles are red. The rest of the marbles are yellow. Antonia takes a random marble from the box and does not replace it. Sergio then takes a random from the box. The probability that Antonio and Sergio both take a yellow box is 0.7. Work out how many were originally in the box. Okay, so the best, well, one thing we can do is if they're asking us how many were in the box, let's say there are X in the box. So at least now we know we're trying to find X. X marbles in the box. Okay, then we're going to draw a tree. So we start with Antonia. She's going to take a marble. It's red or yellow. So red and yellow. Obviously, guys, you don't need the colors. Red and yellow. And then Sergio is going to take a marble. And Sergio can take a red or yellow. Red, red, yellow, yellow. This is Antonia. Antonia's turn. and this is Sergio. Okay, 4 are red. So when Antonia takes a box or takes a marble, what's the probability she gets a red? Well, it's 4 out of the total, which is X. So that's what we're trying to find out, how many marbles were originally in the box. So it's 4 out of X. If there are if there are 4 red, so there's 4 red, and there's X in total, how many are yellow? Well, if there was 10 in total, it'd be 10 minus 4, which is 6. If it was 20 in total, there'd be 20 minus 4, which is 16. If there's X in total, there's X minus 4 yellow. So there's X minus 4 yellow marbles. So the probability of taking a yellow is X minus 4 out of X. Okay. Then, importantly, Antonia does not replace it. Does not replace it. So she's not replaced the red. So now for Sergio's turn, how many red marbles are in the box? Well, there's 1 less, so there's only 3. And how many marbles in total? There's 1 less, so X minus 1. If Antonia takes a red, how many yellows are left? Well, there's still X minus 4 because she hasn't taken any. And the total is X minus 1. Same reason, she's taken a marble. If she takes a yellow, how many red are left? Well, still 4 because she never took a red. And if she takes one, again, these are all out of X minus 1, guys, because we're down a marble after Antonia takes one. Finally, if she takes a yellow, how many yellows are left for Sergio? Well, maybe this is the trickiest bit, guys. There was X minus 4 yellow originally, and Antonia took a yellow. So what's X minus 4 minus 1? Well, it's X minus 5 because we lost one. Antonia took one, so now there's only X minus 5 yellows. So it's X minus 5 over X minus 1. Okay, so that's the tree. There's definitely marks for drawing that tree. This is a 5-mark question. It's obviously it's definitely one of the harder tree diagram questions because I'm sure this is going to turn into some kind of quadratic equation. So it says the probability that Antonia and Sergio both take a yellow. So that is, if you recall, guys, that is yellow, yellow. So that's this situation, yellow, yellow. So how do I find the probability of taking a yellow, yellow? Well, I multiply. It's X minus 4 over X times X minus 5 over X minus 1. This times this. And instead of telling us how many marbles there are, he tells us the probability. So we need to kind of go backwards, but it's still the same principle. This times this equals 0.7. Okay, now I just need to solve this equation and I get the answer. How do I solve this? Well, not necessarily easily, so let's do it. Instead of 0.7, guys, if you don't mind, I'm going to put 7 over 10, just so I can cross multiply. But before I even think about cross multiplying, I'm going to multiply these out. So I have 2 fractions, so I need to do top times the top, bottom times the bottom. So what's X minus 4 times X minus 5? I need to do X times X, X times minus 5, minus 4 times X, minus 4 times minus 5. X times X is X squared. X times minus 5 is minus 5X. Minus 4 times X, minus 4X. Minus 4 times minus 5 plus 20. The denominator, X times X is X squared. X times negative 1 is minus X. This has to equal 7 over 10. I'm just going to simplify the numerator, guys, here. I'm just going to do minus 5x minus 4x is minus 9x. X squared minus x equals 7 over 10. Now I'm going to cross multiply. So this is why I changed it into 7 over 10. 10 times this equals 7 times this. So let me write that. 10 times x squared minus 9x plus 20 equals 7 times x squared minus x. Hopefully, guys, you're all okay with that. Multiply both sides by 10 and multiply both sides by x squared minus x. Then I'm going to move up to here. Multiply out 10x squared minus 90x plus 200 equals 7x squared minus 7x. So I've multiplied out by 10 and I've multiplied out by 7. Rearrange. 10x squared minus 7x squared is 3x squared. 3x squared minus 90 plus 7 will give me negative 83x plus 200 equals 0. Now look, that's obviously a horrendous quadratic. I'm going to get help with my calculator. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go polynomial degree 2. I'm going to put in 3. I'm going to put in minus 83, and I'm going to put in 200. And I get an x1 of 25 and an x2 of 8 over 3. So that helps me, guys, with my factors. They're going to be 25 here and 8 here. I knew that because my x1 was 25, so that I need x minus 25, and my x2 was 8 over 3. So these are my two factors, because this 3x times 23 times 25 is minus 75x minus 8, so minus 75x minus 8x gives me the minus 83x, like there. Okay, anyway, nearly finished. I have 3x minus 8 times x minus 25 equals 0. 3x minus 8 equals 0, or x minus 25 equals 0. 3x equals 8, x equals 8 over 3, or x equals 25. Now, x is the number of marbles, remember at the start, it's the number of marbles in the box. Can you have 8 over 3 marbles? No. So it has to be this one. So you can write here, guys, if you want, reject this solution. So I actually put a line through it. I'm rejecting it because it must be a whole number. You can, if they ask you to explain why, say because it has to be a whole number. Okay, that's it, finished, guys. Obviously, that's the last question of the paper, so it's supposed to be hard. That is a hard question, because just the quadratic alone is hard, but you need to create the quadratic from all this. Yeah, not gonna lie, very, very difficult question. 23 was a very difficult question, but overall, the paper, I think, was okay. Right, that's it, guys. I'll see you in the next video.